Okay, I'm feeling a little frazzled now because I just got finished filling out the kiddos' school registration online, and it is not formatted well, so it's kind of frustrating to, for example, have to figure out the date of birth for children who don't exist, because you can't leave any field blank on one of the forms. And so anyway, and also I don't have a lot of doll stuff to show you this week because a lot of what I did since the last video was I continued sorting the cloth that Nada had brought. Thanks again so much. And so once I had that completely sorted, I spent a day putting it away. The stuff I really, really, really love is in here, in piles, back over there. So I still have to figure out how to get it worked in. I'm talking about the big yardage. The smaller bits, a lot of the doll cloth, doll appropriate cloth I have in small pieces that I bought and people have given me, thanks. It originally went into, there's a dresser back there. That dresser is full, and then on the other side of these dolls there's a suitcase. That suitcase is stacked like 3 times as high as the suitcase, and now there's a bin full of little scraps. There's also on that the dolls and suitcase are on, actually it was part of a desk. It was a weird corner desk, so husband like harvested it for parts, so there's like, it's not quite a filing cabinet here because there's like a big open shelf and then there's a drawer at the bottom. Well, and that drawer has a lot of the cloth I picked out to make stuff for Nada for this trade, and I also added the cloth that she brought that I thought would be appropriate. Initially I was just sorting the cloth, and about halfway through sorting out I thought, well, I can sort it in for me for stuff to use for the gifts for John whenever I sew those, and then stuff for Nada. So there's stuff that's in that bin that is appropriate for Nada, and also in here. And then there's like the large yardage. There's like random large yardage in the big empty hollow area in this desk part, and my closet is full, and the top of the closet. I'm trying to keep that for big stuff like blanket tops and tablecloths and things. And there's also my bin of scraps, and then there's like 2 bed-in-a-bag bags full of yardage. So that's why I really want to get work on probably more human-sized stuff, just so I can use it. But doll stuff's faster, so I'm sure that I'll end up sewing more doll things whenever I get back to sewing. I did spend some time sewing also. I spent 3 days working on a purse for me, and this is as far as I got. Now I guess it's progress because they were kind of detailed parts, like there's hair in my mouth. There's a couple zippers on it, on this part, and I actually sewed this one first with a single zipper. This is going to be the back of the purse, and I could not figure out why I would try to zip it when it was laying down on the desk, and it would not zip. It would not zip. So I took it out and re-sewed it like maybe twice, maybe just once. And I eventually realized that it's just when it's flat that makes it hard to sew, but when it's, or it's hard to use, but when it's actually sort of dangling free like zippers are supposed to do, it works better. So that's going to be the back. The inside of the back is this. This was on a Halloween shirt that I wore to shreds, so I salvaged what I could of the print on the front, and we have, now that's going to be inside the purse. I've made purses before. I never have, not only do I not have a pattern or anything, but plan. I just start sewing zippers to stuff, and this is actually a lot of the same zipper configuration as things I made in the past. But my purses were always super floppy. Well, this time, last year, maybe the year before, thrifted a bunch of this embroidery stabilizer. That's a medium to heavyweight, so I'm actually, that's going into all these layers. So hopefully the purse it will still be floppy, but not as floppy. Anyway, I know you're here for dolls. I'll get to them eventually. The inside front has this slip pocket. And then the front is this with the all the way across zipper and the small zipper. Oh, come on, don't tell me you're not going to say. So it's not the best pattern matching here. Like, this came from cloth that Nada brought. It had originally obviously been a skirt. This big, full-length A-line, obviously early 70s skirt made out of machine quilted, like factory quilted cotton, and all these stripes. And I think there's enough left of the skirt that I can also make like a big tote bag to match too, because I do like it. There's like a lot more of this mustard color, and there's some really hot pink sections, stripes of it too, so the tote bag might look completely different. And like I said, I redid this zipper all the way across in the back section. I redid it on this a couple of times too, so there's still little bits of thread. The heck, I picked a word. Because it's like sewn, it was sewn, to this, and also to the lining. And in the past when I made purses, I had a big problem with the lining getting stuck in the zipper when I tried to use it. So I actually took a step to pull the lining as far away from the zipper as possible and sew it just to the seam allowance. And then I went through and top stitched everything from the top. So that's a lot of threads to cut through and unpick when you've made a mistake, so that was fun. And I've also prepared a zipper for the top, which wasn't moving as smoothly as it could. I'm hoping once it's installed in the purse, it works a little better. It probably won't, and I'm probably getting frustrated, or just, like, never zip it. And the sides. And I was going through my buckles and things, and in all this great sewing stuff that Susan sent, thanks again Susan, there were these 3 matching buckles. So I'm going to be able to make an adjustable strap. I always wear crossbody purses because I don't trust myself to remember if I have a purse, like a shoulder bag. I don't trust myself to remember that it's there if I put it down for any reason. So I've been wearing crossbody purses for a long time. And they're not always easy to find in styles that I like. They're either too big or too small. Usually they're too small. So every once in a while I get frustrated and make a purse. The purse I'm using currently is something I thrifted, and it's still in good shape, so I don't need this purse. That's why I can put it aside for the indefinite amount of time I'm going to, because I got really tired of working on this. I think that's because I prefer quick projects. If I'm going to spend 3 days on something, I want to get at least 3 things done. But I need to learn patience. Chippy? Baby? Sad boy? Mr. hates a closed door. So, after I had organized all the cloth and gotten moved in here, I decided that I was going to chip it. As a birthday treat, I would go hit up the pattern sale at Joann Fabric. So, I'm going to show you what I got. Chip. Door games. So for years I wanted to sew a motorcycle jacket, and when I first got this inclination, Berta had just released this, so I bought it. And I like most of the structure of it, but don't like how enormous the lapels are. So I haven't even taken it out and cut the pieces apart because I was never sure I was going to do lapels. Well, it's a few years later, so when did this come out? I think this came out in 2015. And more of the big 3 pattern companies are starting to release motor jackets, although some of them don't even have upper collars, they just have the lower collars. So I discovered, even though this came out 2 years ago? Yeah, 2017. I found this. It was the McCall's pattern sale. That was on my birthday. So I got this. Here's a line view. So I eventually will make moto. There's one more. The Simplicity pattern sale starts tomorrow. I might run out. There's Simplicity. I finally found. They've had it for a few years, but I only just found it. Have a really simple little moto. Well, not simple. Moto jacket, and that's the kind that doesn't have the upper collar. So I might go out and get that too, and eventually I'll run out of excuses for not making it. Because I have ideas, I have so many ideas. I want to make it out of so many different prints and cloths and just make obnoxious moto jackets. Eventually. And I got this, which is a variation on the stuff that I've been wearing and making a lot. Whereas the first dress I started making, the seam line between the waist and the bodice was about here, and then I have the ones I've made where it's lower. This one, it's higher, so that just seemed like a good enough reason to buy another variation on that for me. And then this one I passed on a couple times, but I know I'm heavily influenced by the print mixing in the photo view, because you know me and print mixing. But I do like the short sleeve version, at least the way it looks in the illustration. So hopefully I'll get something that. I had a shirt pattern from like 1978 or 79 that I used a few years ago, and I liked it, and then I outgrew it. So I've been thinking that I would like figure out how to make it wider by combining with other patterns and so make it fit. But I finally decided, once I saw this is a lot like it, that I'll just actually buy a pattern in the correct size. Not that I'm wearing shirts lately. But when I do wear shirts, again, print mixing, really like that. And there are a million buttonholes on it, but that's fine because I have buttonholer and thing. The buttonholer attachment to the sewing machine that sews the buttonholes automatically, and then I have the presser foot that holds the buttons in place so you can zigzag on a 2 or 4 hole button. So buttons aren't that intimidating. This is another one that I had been considering for a while and passed up for a while and decided to go ahead and treat myself. So that was my birthday adventure. Well, I also bought a pair of shoes for $12. So you're here for dolls. I showed you last week one of the things I got from Nana was an Obitsu W04 head that had hair and paint on it from the factory. So I decided I wanted to get that on a body, and I dug around, and eventually about the only body I had that was close in color and aesthetic that seemed to work it with it was this Genie body. So there she is. If you know Obitsu heads, they have tiny little neck openings inside the neck. I don't know if I can get this open. So I took a pair of plastic sprue cutters to the Genie neck peg, which was pretty big and bulky, and I cut it down. I had already cut off some of the neck. The way the Genie neck peg's made is it tilts the head up, so I had trimmed quite a bit down so the head could look straight. And then I trimmed more off of the neck prong itself, so she ends up with a kind of a short neck. But that's fine. Short neck is better than no body, right? That's one of those things that the doll people are going, yeah, and the people who aren't dolls are going, what? So anyway, so that's her. I might wash her hair. I don't know if it's this fiber or if it was treated with something. It's really oily feeling. I also kind of wish I hadn't tossed the little bit of plastic that her head had been shoved in, so that when I store her, I can just put that back on her head so her bangs don't get floofy. So while I was digging around looking for a body for this head, I rediscovered the Sakura Wars body I had that I think Free Tree gave me. If that's not correct, I'm sorry. And the Sakura Wars dolls were 14 inches roughly, but they had little anime heads. So I just thought, oh haha, what if I put a Barbie head on the Scooter Wars body? Since Barbie's head's so big, it'll work in the 14-inch doll body. And I know people have done that. People have put Barbie heads on Moxie Teens and the Jackie Vanco body. That's a knockoff of the Moxie Teens bodies. So I wasn't being original by putting a Barbie head on a 14-inch doll body. It's just, this is, of course, the first time I've seen it on a Sakura Wars body, and I actually really like her. The head is not held on very securely because the plastic inside this neck is cracked at the top. I need to get in there and figure out how to shore it up. And maybe try to figure out how to make the head sit lower on the neck, because she has the opposite neck of this doll. Too little, too long. But, and the skin tone match isn't perfect, but again, this is Mattel trying to match something else. I really like her. She's actually 7 heads tall, so that's proper human proportions. Most dolls are much less than 7 heads tall. And this dress is something that was in all of the stuff that Nada brought also. Thank you. I'm actually not sure what it's for. It has buttons on the back. I had to button it really far over to make it the right tension to stay up on her. There was one sleeve that had originally been attached to it. I never found the other sleeve, so that sleeve was just held on with sewing thread, so it was pretty easy to cut off without destroying the crochet. And just some action figure shoes they had, because 14-inch dolls have big feet. So I haven't taken pictures of them yet. I will eventually. And I think they're kind of an interesting combination. And last week I told you I had a doll, another doll that Nada brought. Not part of the tray. This was a surprise she threw in that I would show you this week. And it's in not the doll's original box. This is a Dika doll box. But it is a Mary Magpie doll. I recognized it as one of Joy Versaw's Mary Magpie dolls right away. And only after I got into the doll a bit, specifically looking at her back. Let's see, can I do this without them? Sorry. Bettina. This is Mary Magpie's friend, Bettina. Where did I find that? No, on the whoop. This is not only Bettina, this is Joy Versaw's prototype Bettina, which if you go into his Flickr stream, you can, and there's the Mary Magpie label, you can find pictures of this exact doll. Now, his dolls have gotten a lot more advanced to this than this. This is definitely an art doll. His dolls that he's had making, or having made now, I'm not exactly sure, are much more, I think he's actually moved into vinyl now. He was doing 3D printing. I follow him on Instagram. I think he's called Gay Boy Love Dolls. Put the correct answer up here. So I have not taken pictures of her yet. I've always liked the Mary Magpie dolls. And I do love the new modern vinyl ones, but of course there's a lot of charm in the older art doll types. And on his Flickr album you can find this doll wearing this outfit too. She was supposed to have shoes too, but I'm sure Nada used those for something. And I can find shoes for her. So I definitely need to get pictures of the prototype Mary Magpie's best friend, Bettina. And the head does move. I think she's strong, but I can't remember. I'm not going to try to take her apart to find out. So right now I'm putting her back in the box for safekeeping, but eventually I will get her integrated into the dolls. It just seems respectful to keep her in the box and not just throw her in one of these, but there are places where I can put the box and keep the box. But I do need to get pictures of her. And then I went to the thrift store today because, okay, one thing, this room has one of those builder's grade flush mount light fixtures that are commonly called boob lights because they're like spheres with points in the middle. And I've been making fun of these lights for 20 years And it finally occurred to me, it's like, well, what are people doing about them? And there's a lot of DIYs online for how to put something over that without spending the money for a new light fixture. So I hit the thrift store today looking for lampshades, because a lot of them you can just actually just put a lampshade over it. And if you get like a drum-shaped lampshade, then the whole thing starts to look like a more contemporary light fixture. And the only drum-shaped lampshade they had at the thrift store today was like black. So I can't imagine it would have let light through the shade very much. I kept holding up to the lights in the store and I couldn't see through it. So I just imagined putting it up there and having like this transporter beam of light coming down the bottom. So I left that behind. The other thing that I was looking for is we were taking a paper towel off the paper towel roll a couple days ago, and the paper towel holder, which is pretty old, broke. So we knew we needed another paper towel holder, and husband said he actually kind of liked the idea of having one on the counter, so I found an on-counter paper towel holder. It's very 1990s fake wrought iron, but again, one, it doesn't matter, but two, I'm thinking of all the DIYs I've seen, which, like, if you just spray paint it, I don't know, rose gold or something, you probably instantly update it. I don't think I will, but so that's why I was in the thrift store. And then I was on the way out and I went past an end cap and I saw this, which the color caught my attention immediately. It's a really nice purple mauve-y pinky color. And then I picked it up, and in the thrift store, I swear, I looked at it and I said, bees! Probably out loud. So I looked at it and I thought, well, I don't need this. It's pretty, it's beautiful. I can't think of anything to do with it. I have so many boxes already, tins and wooden boxes and things. I don't need it. Obviously, I talked myself into it because I remembered that I wanted something to replace this, where I've been keeping my sewing machine presser feet and the rolled hem thingy, and just, it's obviously, it was fine before I added the last two things, but now that I've added the bias binding foot and the rolled hem thingy that you put on the bed of the sewing machine, it's just not cutting it anymore. So it occurred to me, it won't be in the divisions like this, although I've actually thought I could probably take cardboard and cover it with scrapbook paper or even cloth and make divisions to go inside here. But I convinced myself that this would be a great thing to keep my sewing machine presser feet and other accessories in. So that's how I convinced myself to spend the $4 whole on it. And now that I'm holding up, I see a few places that need to be cleaned, but not much. So this is something else I will try to get better pictures of, because I know you're looking at it with the light back there. I'm looking at it with the light source behind it at the window, and it's just lovely. And bees. So that's all the babbling I have for this week. Next week, hopefully, I doubt it though, hopefully my room will be a little cleaner and I'll be a little freer of mind and I'll have more doll stuff to talk about, because these two were fun to put together and to dress, you know, it's just two simple dolls. So I have not forgotten the joy of just messing with dolls. I have a lot of cloth to work with and I want more dresses. So I'm going to be selfish and not always work on doll stuff, but I'm going to come back to dolls. Thanks for watching.